Hey guys, it's Tara here. If you've played Ark for more than 5 minutes, then congratulations. You've probably already experienced at least half of the disasters on this list. Today we're going over 30 things that every Ark player has done at least once, whether you meant to or not. From oops, I shouldn't have picked a fight with that thing, to I didn't realize there was a cliff right here. We're covering it all, starting with number 1, accidentally eating organic polymer. Every Ark survivor eventually ingests a deadly item for a snack. The classic is organic polymer. Perhaps you were spamming keys to eat meat to heal after a fight, only to realize a second too late that you ate the wrong thing. In an instant, your character collapses on the ground as your screen informs you that you killed yourself. Organic polymer is basically Ark's equivalent of cyanide. On the bright side, at least you learned exactly what not to eat in the future. Number 2, ventured out without a bed. Ark players quickly learn the golden rule of adventuring. Always have a spawn point nearby. If you've ever thought, I'll just explore a little bit further without setting a bed, it'll be fine, you probably ended up learning a harsh lesson. You wander way beyond home, pockets full of loot and materials, only to get ambushed by a raptor or just fall off a cliff. Suddenly you're dead, staring at the respawn map, and there's no bed icons anywhere near your body. The realization dawns that you're about to respawn naked on the opposite end of the island, with your precious gear now essentially out of reach. You might attempt the desperate naked marathon back to your corpse, if you even remember where you died, but we all know how that usually works out. It doesn't. Every Ark veteran recalls that one time they lost everything, simply because they forgot to drop a sleeping bag before they wandered off. Number 3, ignoring temperature warnings. Ark's environment isn't just background scenery, it actively wants you dead too. Every player has at some point ignored those little temperature icons in the corner until it was almost too late. Maybe you were trekking up a snowy mountain in nothing but cloth armor, laser focus on some supply drop, when you suddenly notice your health has plummeted. Or you're deep in a lava cave wearing full flak, wondering why you're panting and one hit away from keeling over. The game really tries to warn you, but for some reason, you just weren't paying attention to the fact that extreme cold or heat will literally drain your health over time, turning a routine trip into a near-death experience. We've all had that panic scramble of building a campfire or torch, or jumping into the water, or frantically shedding armor in a bid to not die to the weather in this game. Number 4, getting over encumbered. Hoarding resources is amazing in Ark, right until it gets you killed. It's almost guaranteed that at some point you got a bit too greedy picking up metal, crystal, or obsidian, and suddenly your character is moving like they're stuck in quicksand. Encumbered and oblivious, you might not notice the danger until it's too late. Your overburdened survivor does the world's slowest jog as a hungry raptor just pounces. Being weighted down turns you into the easiest meal on the island. In those panicked moments, you start frantically dumping stone and wood from your inventory hoping to lighten up, but it's usually too late. Some of us have even overloaded our poor mounts. Nothing is more tragic than a pteranodon that literally cannot take off because you stuffed it full of metal ingots. After you experience the humiliation of death by hoarding, you become much more selective about what loot is truly worth risking your life over. Number 5, pressing the wrong button and dying. In Ark, a single keystroke or controller button can be the difference between life and death. Case in point, that time you accidentally hit the wrong button at the worst possible moment. The most classic example is the mid-air dismount. Maybe you wanted to access your inventory while you were flying, or your finger slipped and oops, you pressed the key that makes your character leap off their mount at high altitude. One second you're enjoying a scenic Argent ride, the next you're in full freefall, frantically mashing the keys and cursing the fact that there's no parachute in your hotkey. Your poor flyer just keeps flapping on as you scream your way down to a very flat ending. The phrase "press E to die" is basically an Ark community meme at this point, and for good reason. But it's not just flyers. Maybe you moved too far and you fell off a cliff, or your tame bolts forward and you both go hurling off the cliff. It just sucks. Number 6, accidentally aggroing a dino. So there you are, minding your own business, gathering some thatch or chasing a dodo, when wham! You accidentally punch a gentle giant, and now they're not so gentle. Every Ark player has had that heart-stopping moment of aggroing a normally chill herbivore like a trike, stego, or, God forbid, a bronto by mistake. One misplaced swing and suddenly the ground is shaking and an angry 3-ton beast is just charging right at you. Instantly you have life regrets. That trike you grazed while harvesting thatch is now in full bulldozer mode, and it has friends nearby, so you just brought yourself a whole herd of trouble. The sheer panic of sprinting from a dinosaur you never meant to fight is something that happens to all of us, because in Ark, even the peaceful plant eaters don't take kindly to being punched in the leg. Number 7, dying in a death loop trying to retrieve your corpse. It's a scenario that every Ark player knows way too well. You die in a dangerous spot and stubbornly refuse to accept the loss of your gear. I can get my stuff back, you tell yourself, embarking on the legendary naked corpse run. Except the hungry carnivore that killed you the first time is still there, and just as angry as ever. You respawn, sprint back, die again and again. There's a special kind of Ark insanity in thinking, this time for sure, and you charge in naked for the 5th time only to become a dino's lunch again. Eventually, you either give up and you write off the gear, or you finally succeed and you feel like an absolute champion. Problem is, you never know which it's going to be. Number 8, getting jump scared by a carnivore. The tranquility of Ark can be shattered in an instant by a surprise dino ambush. You've likely experienced it. One moment you're happily organizing your inventory, and the next you're in a full-on panic as an alpha T-Rex is trying to maul your face. Raptors are prime offenders in this category. Stealthy packs of them love to sneak up behind you with barely a rustle of bushes before they pounce. Of course, after the initial shock, you can't help but laugh at how thoroughly you were blindsided. At least these Ark moments keep your heart rate up, right? Number 9, killing the creature you meant to tame. Taming is a huge thrill in Ark, unless you accidentally turn your potential pet into a corpse instead. We've all been there. You finally spot that high-level creature you desperately want to tame. You line up your trank shots, adrenaline pumping, and then poof, it keels over dead rather than unconscious. Whoops. Early survivors often make this mistake with fragile tames like dodos or dilos. Punch, punch. Why isn't it breathing anymore? On the bright side, you quickly learn to ease up on the damage and maybe carry some weaker trank tools for delicate jobs. Still, that first, oops, I killed it moment, that happens to us all. Number 10, had a fresh tame die 5 minutes after you tamed it. Are a few things more soul-crushing in Ark than spending an hour taming a dinosaur, only to have it die 5 minutes after joining your team. You finally succeed in taming that high-level Argent or shiny new Rex, you celebrate, maybe even giving it a majestic name like Rory. And then Ark's cruel humor strikes. On the long trek home, you get jumped by a Thero that has no pity, and your brand new tame sacrifices itself to save you. Every player has experienced that bitter mix of outrage and dark comedy when a fresh tame dies almost immediately. You can't help but think, well, that was a great use of my time, sarcastically, as you stare at its now lifeless body. Number 11, losing your tame. Every player has had that moment where a tame gets completely lost. You whistle, you search like a madman, fearing them gone forever, only to find them stuck somewhere stupid like on a rock looking forlorn. In a game this large and wild, getting lost or losing something is almost inevitable. Ark beginners don't usually know about waypoints or tame trackers, so it's a frightening world out there for a long time. Number 12, getting killed by a pathetic creature when you first start out. Ark has a way of humbling you right from the start. Remember your first ever death? There's a good chance it wasn't delivered by some mighty T-Rex, but something seemingly pathetic like a pesky Dilo or a pack of compies. You spawn in fresh, full of optimism, maybe you punch a tree or two, and then a venomous glob from a little dino splatters your face and your screen just goes green. It's equal parts frustrating and funny in hindsight, getting bested by creatures you'd later be able to kill with a single spear thrust. Those early embarrassing demises are common, don't worry. They teach you not to underestimate anything in this game because even the littlest dinos can ruin your day when you're new to Ark and unprepared. Number 13, having your weapon break at the worst time. If Murphy's Law needed a video game example, Ark would volunteer. Case in point, that sinking feeling when your weapon or tools break at the absolute worst possible moment. You're ready to spear a turtle and get some precious keratin and fresh meat when you hear your spear just snap in two. Did you make backups? Of course not. You didn't think this would possibly happen at this very moment. Your only pickaxe will break when you finally reach that rich metal vein at the mountain summit, or your torch will fizzle out in the darkest depths of a cave when you're least expecting it. Every Ark player learns this the hard way at least once, typically leading to a comedic scramble, frantically opening your inventory to repair the weapon if you miraculously have the materials on you, or swapping to some primitive backup like a stone hatchet. If you survive the ordeal, you vow to always check durability bars and carry backup gear next time, because Ark has a way of turning simple maintenance into a life or death lesson. Always be prepared because equipment loves to fail exactly when your life depends on it. Number 14, building your base in a terrible spot. Real estate on Ark is all about location, location, location. Well, I guess that's real estate in general, but pretty much every player sets up their first base in a spot they later regret. Maybe you built on the southern shores and realized you're pretty far from any resources and trekking back with things gets old fast. Maybe you spawned up north and figured you could make a go of it there, only to realize that it's an extremely harsh biome to start out in. It's a rite of passage to have at least one base location go horribly wrong. On the bright side, it makes your next base, built on safer ground, maybe on a nice cliff perch, feel that much sweeter. Number 15, accidentally demolishing your own stuff. Sometimes the worst wrecking crew is you. Ark's building interface can be a tad unforgiving, as anyone who's accidentally demolished their own structure can attest. Perhaps you were trying to access your storage box, but you're in a hurry and fat-fingered the demolish option instead of the access inventory, and boom, your entire chest explodes into a shower of wooden thatch, leaving you gasping in horror at the pile of items on the ground. It's painful at the time, but pretty funny in hindsight, and it teaches you to slow down and double check that radial menu, because who needs enemy raiders sabotaging your base when you can do it perfectly well yourself? Number 16, had a bird steal your stuff. Ah, those pesky Ichthyornis seagulls. While they might not kill you, having a bird swoop down to steal the only sack of meat from your hotbar in the middle of a fight is how controllers get thrown. You might have also just been wandering the beach innocently, only for a Pegomastax to run out from the bush, steal your items, and run away before you can even figure out what happened. Having a cheeky animal steal your things in Ark is infuriating. Trust me. Number 17, whistled all follow. Whistles are a powerful tool in Ark, powerful enough to create complete absolute nonsense with one wrong key press. Picture this, you're at your base tending to one dino, and you mean to whistle just that one to stop following. But instead your finger slips and hits the dreaded whistle all follow command. In an instant, your peaceful team turns into a complete stampede. Every tamed creature within earshot, and some you forgot were parked on the roof or halfway across your camp, drop what they were doing and charge towards you. Your neatly arranged raptors, rexes, and parasaurs are now a jumbled leg-inducing pile surrounding you. Every ARC player does this at least once, then spends the next 15 minutes manually dragging each creature back to its spot, feeling super annoyed. Number 18, falling to your death. Gravity is the one boss in ARC you can't nerf or escape. At some point, every survivor takes an unplanned flying lesson and learns that the landing really hurts. Maybe you were scaling a cliff to get rare resources or trying to take a shortcut down a mountain, only to slip and find yourself plummeting at terminal velocity. Or you confidently thought, this isn't too far of a drop, and stepped off a ledge, and then immediately realizing mid-air that it was, in fact, a far way to drop. ARC's fall damage isn't shy about punishing your misjudgments no matter how careful you are. Number 19, picking a fight with something you shouldn't. Confidence in ARC is a double-edged sword. Every player has picked a dumb fight they shouldn't have because they thought they could handle it. Maybe you spotted an alpha raptor with its ominous red glow and thought, imagine the XP I'll get once I take that thing down. Spoiler alert, you could not take it down. Or you felt daring and unloaded your primitive shotgun into a T-Rex's face, only to find it just made it matter, as it turned you into a human chew toy 10 seconds later. And then there's the Gigantosaurus. Some poor souls didn't get the memo about that one and tried to tussle with it like it was just an extra large Rex. The result? Not good. We all have been there pushing our luck at least once, whether it's out of ignorance or that classic gamer ego that just whispers, you got this. Of course, the aftermath is usually you respawning and going, okay, maybe that was a bad idea. Number 20, forgetting to eat and dying of hunger. In the struggle for survival, sometimes it's the simple things that get you. Every ARC player has been so busy with a task, building, taming, exploring, fighting, that they ignore their basic needs until it's nearly fatal. You know this scenario. You're deep in the jungle, laser focused on tracking some rare tame, when suddenly you realize you forgot to bring a water jar and your thirst is imminent. Whoops. The scramble that follows is often comical. You start chowing down on any berries you can scrounge, or you sprint towards the nearest water source like a maniac. After a couple of these embarrassing collapses, you definitely develop a habit of packing stacks of cooked meat and an extra water jar wherever you go. Number 21, trying to swim and getting eaten by piranhas. Water in ARC looks so beautiful and serene, until it isn't. Every player has underestimated the dangers lurking beneath the surface at least once. Maybe you wanted to save time by swimming across a river instead of walking around, or you dove in after a shiny loot drop bobbing just offshore. Big mistake. A few strokes in, you hear that ominous battle music and suddenly you're the main course for a school of mega piranhas. Those little monsters seem to materialize out of nowhere and shred your armor before you even reach the halfway point. The first time you die in the water is a brutal wake-up call that ARC's waters are not to be trifled with. You respawn, likely miles from your body, and swear, never again. Number 22, underestimating the bugs. Not all ARC threats roar or stomp. Some are literally just a buzzkill. At least once, every player has been overwhelmed by the little terrors of the island. Maybe you unknowingly wandered near a rotting carcass and suddenly a cloud of giant dragonflies descends upon you, turning a simple meat gathering into an insectoid nightmare. Or you're trekking through the jungle only to get dive bombed by a swarm of giant ants hitting you from all angles. It's surprisingly easy to get killed by these pint-sized pests when you're caught off guard and you're new to the game. Number 23, getting knocked unconscious by a Trudeon. Few things in ARC make you feel as stupid and helpless as getting knocked out cold by a creature and then being eaten while you're down. If you haven't experienced this joy yet, just wait. A common culprit is the Trudeon, these devilish little night predators with eyes that glow like red flashlights. You're strolling along at dusk and suddenly that pack of Trudons leaps at you. A couple of poisonous bites later and your torpor meter skyrockets. Next thing you know, your character's face down in the dirt snoozing peacefully while the Trudons proceed to tear you apart. You get to watch the carnage from behind a black screen with stars, completely unable to move. Scorpions can also deliver a similar fate, especially in caves. You take one sting too many, collapse mid-fight, and effectively gift wrap yourself as the scorpion's next meal. Every ARC survivor learns about torpidity the hard way. Oh, that purple star meter. It does matter. The lesson hits home. Always watch your torpor, and maybe think twice about running around at night or in caves without the proper precautions, like carrying stimberries or stimulant in a hotkey. Otherwise, you might just end up as the main course at the Trudon Midnight Buffet. I never did find my item cache again after this happened to me on a cliff near the swamps. Number 24, accidentally hurting or killing your own tame. ARC also teaches you that friendly fire isn't so friendly. At some point or another, every player has accidentally injured, or worse, outright killed, their own tame dino or tribe mate in a moment of oopsie. It's the kind of dark humor ARC excels at. Sometimes you're the hero, and sometimes you're the clumsy tribe mate who kills the wrong target. We've all been the latter on occasion. On the bright side, most friends and dinos are forgiving or easily replaced. Still, that facepalm moment when you realize you've dealt the killing blow to your own team team is one you won't forget easily. Number 25, getting greedy chasing a loot drop. Gold fever is real in Ark and has led many a survivor to their demise. We've all seen that tempting supply drop in the distance, or maybe a high-level red or yellow beacon and thought, I can get that. Totally. Next thing you know, you're sprinting into a highly dangerous situation, eyes fixed on that glowing treasure like it's the holy grail. Perhaps the drop was in a swamp clearing that was teeming with snakes and crocs, or high up on a winter mountain where saber-tooths and wolf packs roam. Your focus was so laser-locked on the prize that you ignored all the warning signs until wham, greed gets the best of us at least once. The funny part is when you realize the drop's contents. If you even managed to glimpse them, they probably weren't worth it. Oh, great, a ramshackle slingshot blueprint. Definitely almost died for something special there. So the next time you see a beacon in a dangerous area, just remember the risks. Number 26, getting stuck in weird places. Ark's world has plenty of deadly creatures, but sometimes your own worst enemy is simple geometry. Getting stuck in odd places is infuriating, but it's happened to us all. Perhaps you hopped off your Argent on the roof and slid down into the gap between your bird and a wall, and now you're glued in place, frantically jumping but going nowhere. Or you built a nice little dino pen and then promptly trapped yourself between your trike and the gate, effectively making your own personal jail cell. Some unlucky souls have fallen into narrow crevices between rocks where there was no escape. No matter what, Ark loves to remind you that it has plenty of glitches. The good news is these stories of that time I got wedged in the weirdest spot are great to laugh about with friends later, once you're finally free. Number 27, setting out on a mission and forgetting the crucial item. We've all been there. You plan a big mission, maybe a long trek to tame a high-level Rex, or an expedition to one of the more difficult caves. You gear up, or so you think, and set off confidently. Then comes the sinking realization once you get there. You forgot something absolutely essential. Maybe you arrive at the taming spot only to find you left all the narcotics back at base and the creature's torpor is dropping fast. Or you're now in the depths of the cave and you realize you forgot to bring any backup armor. Maybe you reach an underwater cave entrance and then remember you don't have any extra scuba tanks. Well, it gets to the point where you make checklists in your head before you leave. Got my food? Check. Water? Check. Ammo? Potions? Spare pike? Check, check, check. Ark life, where being an ultra-prepared survivalist clashes with simultaneously having the memory of a goldfish. Number 28, being panicked during your first dino encounter. Your first face-to-face with a giant carnivore in Ark is practically a horror movie moment. Every player remembers the first time they heard the earth-shaking thud of footsteps and realized a gigantic predator is nearby. Maybe you're a fresh spawn on the beach, happily whacking trees when a T-Rex emerges from the tree line, towering and roaring. You do what any sensible person would. Panic. Perhaps you ran for the ocean praying it wouldn't follow, or ducked into your flimsy thatch hut as if that would stop a Rex, or just froze and stared in awe as it came towards you. The first roar of a T-Rex is something you don't forget. Even if you did manage to avoid death by some miracle, maybe it got distracted by something else or you found a perfect place to hide, the adrenaline spike was real and the panic scramble was very real. It's the moment Ark really welcomes you to the game. Number 29, losing track of time. Ark isn't just a survival game, it's a time vortex. We've all logged on thinking, I'll just play for an hour, and the next thing you know, the sun is setting. In real life, maybe you started with a simple goal like gathering a bit of metal and logging off, but Ark had other plans. One task led to another. You went to get metal, you spotted a cool Anki to tame for more efficient metal farming. That tame took longer than expected, then you needed to build a new tame for the Anki, and then a Carno attacked the pen, which led to a defensive battle, and then maybe accidentally taming that one too. And before you know it, hours have flown by. The in-game day-night cycles and constant to-do lists completely warp your sense of time. It's kind of alarming how often Ark players glance at the clock expecting it to be maybe 10 p.m., and it's actually 2 a.m. The classic internal dialogue of, okay, just one more thing then I'll log off, becomes 5 more things, then 10. Taming especially will do this. Just 5 more minutes for it to finish can turn into an hour, particularly if something goes wrong and you have to scramble. Every Ark player has done the bleary-eyed shuffle to bed after telling themselves they'd quit hours ago. Number 30, taking revenge on a dinosaur that killed you. Survivors have long memories, especially when it comes to a grudge. If a particular dino wrongs you, you better believe you're coming back with a vengeance. Every Ark player has at least once made it their mission to hunt down the specific creature that killed them and settle the score. The best part is how overprepared we usually are for these vendettas. That level 12 raptor never stood a chance against your army this time around. In the grand scheme of things, the revenge might not accomplish much. There's always another dinosaur waiting around the corner to kill you anyway, but it sure is satisfying. We've all been a little petty with the local wildlife, and we regret nothing. In Ark, sometimes vengeance is yours, and it tastes even better than a stack of cooked prime meat after a hard day's work. And there you have it. That's 30 moments of pure Ark pain and comedy that we've all fallen victim to. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to subscribe and then check out the video I put on screen here about mistakes that every Ark player makes. So we'll see you over there.